The following is a presentation of Geekster Media.
Welcome to the Retro Resurgence Podcast. Now, get ready to take that journey into the neon glow of nostalgia. Here are your hosts, Ken and Chad.
Hey there, everyone. Welcome back to the Retro Resurgence Podcast, Episode 2. We're excited to be back and talk more nostalgia with everyone. Thanks to all of you who have subscribed and downloaded so far to the show. We really appreciate it. We've had a pretty positive debut with Episode 1, and when I say we, I'm talking about my friend, my co-host on this ride, the person who I couldn't do the show without, Chad. Chad, how you doing, sir?
Hey, Ken, thanks for the kind words. And I echo exactly what you said. We've excited to be official podcasters. I know you've been a podcaster at least a year longer than I have, but together
a little bit, yeah.
In this joint venture, though, it was nice to get episode 1 under our belt.
Yeah, definitely. I know what we kind of wanted to do going forward is maybe read some feedback if we get any feedback. I think we have one piece of feedback from episode 1. If you want to read that really quick.
Yeah, we encourage the listeners. We heard from some of the guys in the lounge over at Geekster. If you guys aren't aware, Geekster is our home base, geekstermedia.com. And over on Instagram and Twitter, we've heard a couple nice positive things, which is nice because, we're, like we said, we're just, 40 and 50-year-old guys just reminiscing on our childhood and stuff. But we did hear back from a fan, Serpy Matt is his name, on Twitter. Okay. And he says, really fun first episode. And then he said if he had to pick his top 5 NES games, he's going with NES Pro Wrestling, which is his top, and followed by Super Dodgeball, Super Mario 3, TMNT Turtles Arcade, and then number 5, he says, is Base Wars. He says he never owned many of the games, but he rented them a few times, and he was looking forward to our next episode. Matt, first off, thanks for the feedback, and like we said last episode, feedback is our currency, and we love getting suggestions and just comments about the topics that we talk about. But we both had a pro wrestling game on our list, Ken, but we didn't have NES Pro Wrestling. Do you remember that game?
Yeah, I do remember that one. Is that the one that had like Starman?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It had like maybe 6 characters for the whole game.
Yeah, I actually asked him, I said, "Are you a Starman fan?" He said no, he was actually the Amazon fan.
The Amazon. He looked like the creature from the Black Lagoon, kind of.
Yeah, he looked like, he always reminded me of Blanca from Street Fighter. He was the green guy, but that was his wrestler of choice. Yeah, I mean, NES Pro Wrestling, if you look at screenshots and stuff, the look of it looks like the WCW wrestling game. It was another good, NES Pro Wrestling game. I certainly better than that WWF WrestleMania game. I mean, I think NES Pro Wrestling game was far better than that one. But yeah, thanks, Matt. And
thank you.
We encourage everyone to listen and give us feedback for this week's show.
Right, and like we said, if we do any feedback, we'll be more than happy to read it on the show.
Yeah, so absolutely.
So, all right. So what me and you kind of talked about too now is what we wanted to do in the beginning of the show is kind of maybe pick a small icebreaker topic to kind of get, the conversation flowing a little bit. So, So I decided to pick one for this show. And since my kids have gone back to school in the last couple weeks here, I've been thinking about the movie Back to School a lot from 1986. Yeah. So I wanted to just kind of go ahead and pick my top 3 favorite moments from the movie. So
first off, Ken, I have to let you know that I only watched this. I never seen this movie up until 2 days ago. I decided to watch it to prepare for your icebreaker question. But
Okay.
what's your history of the movie? Is this something that you just loved growing up, or
Yeah, I was
big Rodney Dangerfield fan, or?
Yeah, like Rodney Dangerfield. I was 12 years old when this movie came out, so rated PG-13. I didn't see it in the theaters, but I know as soon as it came out on VHS, we were running to the video store trying to see if we could rent it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I've watched it many, many times since, so
Yeah,
definitely not a stranger to it.
sure.
So, right, I just wanted to throw in my top 3 favorite moments. And then in the show notes, I'll add the YouTube clips so people, if they want to go check out what I'm talking about, if we have any, younger listeners that don't know anything about this movie. So
Yeah,
they can
I'll
check that out.
put me as one of those, because like I said, I had never seen the movie up until the other day, but it was fun.
Did you like it?
Yeah, I liked it. It was
Okay.
it's definitely a product of its time,
Oh, yeah.
But I imagine, we've talked about the age gap between you and I, so I would have been 3 when this came out, and certainly not even on my radar, even
Right.
even
Oh, yeah.
older. But I'm glad you picked it. And let me ask you, so like, you're an 80s focused on the 80s. Rodney Dangerfield, would you say he was probably one of the top comedians of the decade?
Oh, yeah, I would definitely think so.
Yeah.
I even think that he had his own specials on HBO where he would introduce younger comics and have them, do some stand-up. I think that's where I first saw Andrew Dice Clay was on a Rodney Dangerfield show on HBO back in the day.
Yeah. I mean, I've known about like Caddyshack, and I'll tell you the one movie that I remember with Rodney Dangerfield in, and this would have been early mid 90s, was a movie called Ladybugs.
Oh, okay.
It's about a soccer team. He's like the coach of a soccer team, and
Right. Yeah.
probably not one of his top 5 or 10 movies, but
No.
because it was sort of in the 90s era when it came out.
Yeah.
And I think I'm trying to think. He didn't live. Did he live past the 2000s? I think he died.
Yeah, I think maybe he just passed away maybe 5 or so years ago. I could be wrong, maybe a little bit more than that, but I do know he did pass away some time ago.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, what are your top 3 moments of the film?
All right. The first one that I picked was Sam Kinison, one of the comedians of the 80s. He plays Professor Turgison in the movie. And
you can't mistake that voice.
no. And it's the part where he introduces himself to I think it's American history, something like that. And then he just goes crazy on the one student who tries to give the answer about the Korean conflict.
Yeah.
And then, Rodney gets involved and he goes off on him too. I always thought that was a pretty funny moment in the movie.
Yeah.
I like that one. And then my second favorite moment is when Rodney is throwing the party in the dorm room and he has Oingo Boingo playing at the party.
The band, yes.
The band, yeah, the band.
That was I was going to mention that was probably my favorite moment of that song. And I've heard this song. We're coming up on Halloween, the Dead Man's Party. Like I've heard people mention that in their like top Halloween songs of the season. So it was fun to see them, and I didn't know that Danny Elfman, who went on to compose a lot of music for songs, he was actually in the band.
Yeah, he was in the band, and then he was the one who did the score for Batman, the 89 Batman movie.
Yeah.
And many other things, too.
Many others, yeah. Just to add in, Dangerfield, actually, it'll be next month. It'll be 20 years since he passed.
No.
He died in 2004.
Holy. Well, I was way off. Doesn't seem like it's that long. It was that long ago.
Right.
All right. Yeah, and then another funny moment about that part is he's in the hot tub, with a bunch of hot chicks, and then he comes up with a snorkel and mask on. Now that's what I call marine biology.
Oh my gosh. He also, some of these jokes, in today's, I mean, of course this was a comedy, right? So you can get away with stuff but like some of it, I remember he said something about his Longfellow, referring to poetry. But my favorite line of that was when the lady who was the professor that he was kind of into.
Yeah.
She comes in and he's like, these are my nieces.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, that was fun.
Yeah. And then the last part, of course, is when they need him to enter the diving meet, and he does the triple Indy dive. Yeah. That's always a fun moment, right at the end of the movie there. So
yeah. Shout out to the villain of the movie, William Zabka.
Yeah, I was gonna mention. Yeah, Johnny from Karate Kid.
He did a good job playing another dislikable character.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, yeah, man, that was good.
One other piece of trivia I have that I looked up: Back to School was filmed at the University of Wisconsin-Madison, my home state.
Mm-hmm.
But in the movie they called the school Great Lakes University. So
yeah, GLU.
Yeah. But yeah, they filmed it at Wisconsin UWM, so that's pretty cool. Being from Wisconsin, I thought that was cool.
Yeah, man. Well, yeah, that was a good pick, and maybe next Icebreaker we'll have to pick a movie that may have come out in my time that you may have not seen, but I appreciate you turning me on to that.
And now, let's move on to the main topic of the show.
All right, Chad. Well, that was fun, reminiscing about the 1986 movie Back to School. But now let's get into our main topic of the show. What do you got for us this week?
Well, this week's topic, we decided to go, obviously, with our second show. Everything is new. And last week we did a top 5 list of our NES games. This week, to kind of change things up a bit, I talked to Ken and said, Ken, why don't we do, a very popular, some of the podcasts I listen to, there'll be weeks where they do a Rushmore show, and they're basically putting the Mount Rushmore of fill in the blank. So with that in mind, and also, football has just kicked off. I know Ken is just saw you a few weeks ago on Instagram taking in some high school football up there in Wisconsin.
Yep.
And the college and pros are now in swing. I said, let's do a Mount Rushmore of the top football movies. And because we're a nostalgia podcast, I said, let's keep it into the 80s and 90s. So I said, Ken, let's do the top football movies of the 80s and 90s. Now, the rule is, obviously, you didn't have to have watched it in the 80s or 90s, but the film needs to be released in those years.
Yeah.
So, Ken, as you were thinking about the topic, what was did you have 4 movies come to mind immediately, or what was that about?
Yeah, pretty much. The first 3 I thought of right away, and then I was debating on the last one that I wanted to pick, but then the one I was going to pick, I realized it came out in 2005, so that one was off the table. So then I replaced it with the other one that I was thinking of.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, and we didn't, just like last week, we don't know each other's picks. So, if we happen to pick the same movie, then obviously we have no problem putting that up on the Mount Rushmore. When I suggested the topic to Ken, I was thinking, man, there are tons of movies, and correct me if I'm wrong, Ken, but I had a hard time finding movies that were football related or mainly football related. I thought there was a lot more, and I think I grew up mainly in the 90s and stuff. There were a ton of baseball movies. Yeah. There were a ton. It seems like there were a lot more basketball movies and hockey movies. I mean, you think of the Mighty Ducks and things like that, but like football movies, I don't know what I was thinking. Like, I almost had trouble coming up with 4. I mean, I did have 4. I just thought there were a lot more. And then I realized a lot of the movies that I was thinking of were like the post 2000s. So why don't you tell me about the ones that you were thinking of post 2000?
Post 2000?
Yeah.
I don't.
You said there was one in 05.
Those are even more harder for me to come by because I really couldn't think of any.
Well, you said the one you thought of in 2005.
Yeah, it was The Longest Yard remake with Adam Sandler was the one I was going to pick for my 4th pick, but.
And the original one was in the 70s.
Yeah, with Burt
Reynolds. That wouldn't
Reynolds.
fit our criteria. My favorite movie I would think this is probably my favorite football movie of all time, but it was 2003. It was Remember the Titans. Have you ever seen that one?
Oh, yeah. That one.
Denzel.
Yeah, that was a really good one, but
Yeah. That doesn't make the cut. So
No.
So Ken, let's just get into it. Like I said, we're gonna just mention the four, and we'll see if we have any of them then that are shared, and then if we don't, we'll have to kind of argue and debate to see, who will reign supreme. So what's one of your picks for Rushmore?
Okay, well, the first one that came to mind right away, and I'm thinking maybe you'll have it on yours too, was, of course, Rudy.
Yep.
From 1993. That one. That comes to my mind right away.
Yeah, we can go ahead and put it on the mountain because now I got to tell you, now this may be surprising, but I'm a sports guy. Mainly that's what I did, consumed as a kid. But I've actually never watched Rudy, to be honest. It's a movie that seems like, it's a classic sports movie, but I've actually never sat down and watched it.
You've never seen? Oh,
never seen it. I know, man.
You got to change that pretty quick.
Ken's gonna break up with me right now.
So I think, well, it came out in 93, so you were 10. So yeah,
Yeah, no excuse, man.
Sometimes you just don't get around to things, but just
now
kind of
I can tell you, it's one of those movies that like I said, I've never seen it, but I know the plot and the story and the real life Daniel Rudy Rudiger.
Yeah.
And I know out of the picks that I made, because it was one of my picks, I said, there's no way we can be taken seriously if we omit Rudy, whether or not I've seen it or not. But it's actually got a pretty good rating. I used Rotten Tomatoes, 78% rating.
Yeah. Okay.
But tell me, your thoughts of the movie.
Oh, I loved it. I've watched it multiple times. Sean Astin, guy that's been in lots of movies through the 80s and 90s, Goonies, pick something, he's probably in it. And, a little later on in life, he was in Stranger Things. And then another actor that was pretty young that probably got a start in film was Jon Favreau is in it as his friend, which, now he's
directing,
knee deep in the, MCU, Marvel universe, and, doing Star Wars, and it's kind of, to kind of see him in his early career. So,
yeah.
I still get, the end of the movie. I'm not going to spoil for it, but I still get goosebumps, every time I watch the ending of that movie, and it's one of my favorite sports movies.
Yeah, I know, reading the plot of the movie. And I will go watch this and seek it out soon. But Rudy faced a lot of challenges, and family couldn't afford to get into Notre Dame, and he also was dyslexic, and I know he just has the big scene at the end where he gets in the game.
Yeah. So yeah, definitely. So we both agree on that one.
Yeah, Rudy, you're on the mountain.
All right. So we'll go into our second pick. You wanna go first?
Yeah, let me give you now, the one that came to my mind immediately, and I did see this, and this is a little later in the decade, almost didn't qualify, but 1999. Not sure if it'll be on your list, but it's a movie called Any Given Sunday.
Oh, I do not have that one on my list, but okay. I do know the movie. I haven't seen it a whole lot. So the times I have seen it, I think I liked it pretty well. So
yeah, this was I would have been like 16 when this came out, but me and my friends, I remember this movie not vaguely. I remember this distinctly because this was right around the time where for us, DVDs were starting to come out. Mm-hmm. And a lot of my buddies and I, we were just getting into the DVD and getting, of course, with DVDs, you got the special features on the disc, and you had the movie cases and stuff like that. So we were all about trying to buy the DVDs, and Any Given Sunday was one of the first DVD purchases I made, probably Circuit City or Best Buy or wherever I was buying them at the time. But this is this is a really cool movie. Unlike Rudy, which is heartwarming, this one is pretty dark. It portrays the darker side of football. Injuries, greed, addiction.
Right. Yeah.
Jamie Foxx. It's one of, I think, he's, already past his in living color days. So he's sort of becoming, an A-lister. He's in the movie along with Al Pacino.
I was just going to say, is this the one with Al Pacino?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
He's the coach. Cameron Diaz is in it. Dennis Quaid, Lawrence Taylor, the great New York Giants linebacker. He's in the movie. Okay. Ella Cool J is the running back, but Oliver Stone co-wrote and directed it, and he's done a lot of movies in Hollywood. But this one is pretty realistic in terms of seeing what's behind all the glitz and glamour. What we see on Sunday, and everything behind it. So have you seen it, Ken?
I've seen it maybe, to be honest, maybe twice at the most. Yeah, I think. Yeah.
Well, like I say, this is one of my favorite football movies. Some of the things it portrays, you've got Dennis Quaid, who's an aging quarterback, right, and he gets injured in one of the games, and here comes Jamie Foxx, he's portraying Steamin' Willie Beeman. He's a seventh round draft pick, sits on the bench. He's the third stringer, has to come in injury relief, and immediately it's like the moment is too big for him. There's a great scene as soon as he gets pulled in. He comes up to Pacino. Pacino gives him like 3 or 4 looks. Pacino doesn't even know who this guy is. He's so deep on the bench chart or the depth chart. But he comes in and immediately he's just taking in the crowd and the game, and it's a big game and stuff like that. And he immediately goes in the huddle. The team's looking for direction and what play call. I think they were like, "What's the snap count? What's the snap count?" And all of a sudden, Jamie Foxx just vomits. Billy Beeman.
I think I do remember that part. Yeah.
It's it portrays him. He's an up and coming superstar who kind of gets on a hot streak, and then the bait is, in like many things in sports, like when the starter is healthy, does the starter come back in, or does the guy who's got the hot hand, do you keep him in? They decide to keep Jamie Foxx in, and the show. It's a great football movie. Again, it's dark. It's not for children, language and stuff it says. But and one thing too about the movie that I remember, that some of the music that's in the movie, like not all the songs are on the soundtrack. Oh. But it's got some great songs, like just a great movie if you're into if you really are into music and stuff, because some of the music they play during the scenes is just really cool. I know there's a really cool scene where it's a Bill Withers song, "Use Me Up," and it's in the movie, but it's not on the soundtrack, which I thought was kind of odd. And then at the very end, there's a big game, and Pacino gives a great speech to the team, and these guys are ready to run through walls. But it's a fun movie. I mean, if you're like football, and it reminds me, like I'm a big fan of A&E's The Dark Side of the Ring documentaries, and this is kind of like one of the dark side of football movies, but it tells a story too. So anyway, it's for me, and this is probably, since it wasn't on your list, we'll have to debate it, but this for me is one of my Rushmore picks.
All right, so my next pick also just to give a little, 3 of my picks were from the 90s, and then I have 1 pick from the 80s. So I really couldn't find a whole lot of 80s football movies, to be honest.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was surprised too, because I figured like all my picks are from the 90s, and I was looking at the 80s, and there are some great baseball movies of the 80s. Yeah. It was hard pressed to find anything from the 80s for football. Right.
Yeah, it was hard. But all right, my second pick, also from 1999, Varsity Blues. So pretty much, I'll just kind of read a little bit of what the IMDb has for the, plot. In small town Texas, high school football is a religion. The head coach is deified as long as the team is winning, and 17-year-old schoolboys carry the hopes of an entire community onto the gridiron every Friday night. In his 30th year, head coach Bud Kilmer, played by John Voight, is trying to lead his West Canaan Coyotes to their 23rd division title. Then you have when star quarterback Lance Harbor, a young Paul Walker, before all of his Fast and Furious days.
Yeah, yep.
Suffers a knee injury. The Coyotes are forced to regroup under the questionable leadership of John Moxon, James Vanderbeek from Dawson's Creek.
Mm-hmm.
A second string quarterback with a slightly irreverent approach to the game. Then it just says, Varsity Blues explore our obsession with sports and how teenage athletes respond to the extraordinary pressures placed on them.
Yeah.
I just watched this movie probably last week because I knew it was going to be one of my picks.
Yeah.
So the first time I watched it in a while, but yeah, really good movie too.
Yeah, I think I've caught it on TV over the years once or twice, and I mean you get whereas Any Given Sunday is pretty much completely about football. Like I would say Varsity Blues is more of a it's talking about life in football, like school and football. It's
right.
Doesn't it have aren't there some of the guys in relationships and stuff like that? Like
the Lance Harbor character has a girlfriend, but as soon as he gets hurt and injured, then she goes for the James Vanderbeek character, and but then the coach is like God. The only thing that matters is winning, and the town people, pretty much he's almost kind of like the ruler of the small little town there.
Yeah. Well, in Texas is talk about high school football factory.
Yeah.
So large that you're going to have these small towns and a lot of recruits, coming out of Texas. So, is it still the same? Who knows? But it's certainly in that kind of a town, in that time of in our history, like high school football is everything to a lot of towns,
most
that may not have a pro or a college football to claim.
Right. So
cool. That wasn't on my list, but I definitely would consider putting it up there.
Okay. All right. Well, what are we on to our third picks now?
Yeah, we picked number 3, and I will start it off with this one. To me, The Sandlot, and it's one of my favorite movies of the 90s of all in that decade.
Yeah.
To me, I think
I know where you're going. But,
all right. You might have. Is this on your list?
If it's what I think you're going to pick, no, it is not. But I did consider it. Consider it, but it didn't make it.
To me, this is the Sandlot of children of Pee Wee football, and this is Little Giants.
Right. Yep.
1994. You've got Rick Moranis, who was in a ton of movies starting from the 80s and into the 90s, and you've got Ed O'Neill. They're brothers who, Ed O'Neill is a superstar out of the two, more athletic, and you got Rick Moranis, who's great in those roles, But they're both coaching Pee Wee football, and it's Ed O'Neill's team is the Cowboys, which if you're looking at 1994, I mean the Cowboys, what a choice to put them as representing Ed O'Neill's team. And then you've got the group of misfits that Rick Moranis coaches, undersized, not athletic, but just the classic tale of like David and Goliath. Yeah. And if you haven't seen it, go check it out. It's fun for the whole family. 46% Rotten Tomatoes, not great, but if you're
really?
Yeah.
That's surprising to me.
Yeah. But if you got little ones, this is definitely one that's a feel good, some great scenes in the movie. One of my favorite scenes of probably the whole movie is they're playing the Ed O'Neill's team, the Cowboys, who are very athletic and they're taller and bigger and stuff like that. And these kids who, aren't very good, aren't very tall, they're trying to figure out how to intimidate them. So one of the teams brings out a Tums or an antacid.
Yeah.
And the line goes, I use these for acid indigestion. Yeah. What are we going to use these for? And then the guy goes, intimidation.
Yeah.
So then the next scene, there's a shot of the offensive line or maybe the defensive line, but they're just got the foam and
coming out
of their mouth and stuff. Yeah. Some great characters. This is why I consider it kind of like the Sandlot, because you've got like these like characters that are just memorable, and of course the best player on the Giants is actually Rick Moranis' daughter, who was a cheerleader and really just was one of those tomboyish type characters who wanted to play, and then in the end she's known as the Icebox.
Yep.
Yeah, and she comes in at the end and makes a good play, and they ended up winning the game, and it's a great movie. I obviously not going to be an Oscar winner, but just fun for the whole family.
One thing I also remember about that movie is the John Madden cruiser breaks down in front of their little practice field, and a bunch of NFL guys come out. Yeah. Of the time, I think it was, there are a couple players were Bruce Smith from the Buffalo Bills, and probably a few Cowboys in there too, I think, as well. Yeah. So that was a pretty cool scene in the movie too. All right. Well, I'll tell you my third pick. This was the only movie that I could find that I really knew about from the 80s, from 1983. It's a movie called All the Right Moves. It stars Tom Cruise, and Leah Thompson is in it. It's just about a high school football star who dreams of getting out of his small western Pennsylvania steel town with a football scholarship. And then his coach is also trying to move on and get a position as a coach on a college team in California. And it's just kind of like, the people in the movie are, mine workers for, coal miners and things like that. And he doesn't keep the tradition going. He wants to do, something else with his life and, get out of there.
Yeah.
And it's a pretty good movie. Like, he does something, they lose a game, and he goes with a bunch of other people to the coach's house, and they kind of like vandalize his house, and the coach sees them and kicks him off the team. And then some of the movie is him trying to get back onto the team and things like that. And it's actually a really good movie. You got a young Tom Cruise and a young Leah Thompson in there too. So
yeah,
couple,
that same year, Tom Cruise was in Risky Business. So
yeah,
he's just starting.
Just starting. Yeah. So if you've never seen that one, I recommend that one too.
Yeah, that one I totally missed me, and I'll have to check it out. I see it's got Coach himself, Craig T. Nelson.
Yeah, Coach. Yeah. Who would have thought? Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. I'll check it out.
All right. Yeah, I recommend it.
Okay. Well, let me go with my last pick for Rushmore, and like I said, I could have just swore there were more movies to pick from, and I didn't have a hard time picking because we were confining it to the 80s and 90s, but the one that I picked is also a 90s flick, and if you've seen one Adam Sandler flick, you've seen them all, and this one I'm choosing is The Waterboy, 1998. Adam Sandler is Bobby Boucher.
That is my final pick as well.
Oh, cool.
So
again, it happens again. We like WCW wrestling last week. 2 out
of 4, we got the same. So this was the one that I replaced The Longest Yard with. So
okay, yeah. So now, of course, if you're looking for Oscar worthy, you're not going to get that here. Adam Sandler, 33% Rotten Tomato, but certainly, this is probably, I'm not going to say this is Adam Sandler's earliest movie, because I think 96, 90, I mean, he's already done with SNL, and he's kind of getting into showbiz.
I think his first movie was probably Billy Madison.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Yeah. I think you're right. But, it's got, this one is the coach, the Fonz, Henry Winkler.
Yeah.
Is It's got Kathy Bates as Bobby Boucher's mother.
Yep.
I love the appearance by a young Paul White.
Oh yeah, Captain
Yes.
Insano.
Captain Insano, yes.
Yep.
Did you just recently on AEW? If you follow AEW, AEW is trying to buy the licensing and the namesake, I guess because it belongs to Adam Sandler or his movie production. But
Oh really?
he's actually because he's well into his 50s now, so he was trying to catch another run with some popularity as Captain Insano. But he's been on AEW a few times portraying that character. But it's just an Adam Sandler flick that just has a lot of his buddies in it, like Adam Sandler does. And just a tale of sort of a bumbling guy who's the water
boy for the team, and
getting bullied, goes to another school against the wishes of his mom, who's very overprotective, and becomes sort of a superstar. But you've got a lot of cameos in here. You've got some ESPN personalities, Sports Center, Dan Patrick, things like that. Of course, we mentioned Paul White, but just a dumb comedy and nothing to sit there and have to think too deeply on. But it was my last pick as well.
Yeah, mine too. So all right, so we agree on 2 out of the 4. So
yeah, we're gonna put the Water Boy up there. We're gonna put Rudy up there.
Yep, Rudy.
So now we have to debate whether.
All right.
Now let's talk about the 2 that I have. I have Any Given Sunday, and I've got Little Giants. You've got All the Right Moves. Got Varsity Blues.
Right.
Okay. Now, Ken, if we're looking to make this Mount Rushmore sort of very diverse, what we could do is that we've got our inspirational movie already.
Yeah.
Rudy is inspirational, right? We've got our dumb comedy,
right,
which is The Water Boy. So now, if we're looking for a different type of movie, we've got sort of a teenage drama in your Varsity Blues. We've sort of got the dark documentary drama in Any Given Sunday, and then we've got a kid's flick.
A kid.
Then we got a Tom Cruise. I can't speak on that one because I've never seen it. But
All the Right Moves is kind of more of a little bit of a darker tone type too. So my other 2 are kind of, both in that same, take place in high school. So
yeah. Well, I'm gonna. And you've seen Little Giants, right?
I've seen. Oh yeah.
Oh, you said you saw Any Given Sunday too.
Yeah, not a whole lot, but I have seen it. Yeah.
Yeah. So out of the 2 that you picked, if you had to put one up and eliminate one, which one would you pick?
I would probably put up Varsity Blues and eliminate All the Right Moves.
Okay. Now, if you had to, if I had to eliminate one of mine out of the equation, I'd probably eliminate Little Giants. Much as it might hurt me a little bit as the kid movie, but like for me, Any Given Sunday is like the top of the list for me. So, I was gonna pick Varsity Blues myself for you.
Okay.
Like if you had to tell me to choose, I would pick Varsity Blues. Okay. Out of the 2 that I chose, what would be your pick?
I would probably pick Any Given Sunday as well.
Okay.
Like I love the kid movies. It's just for a Mount Rushmore, maybe. Yeah. Kind of more the adult tone movies, I would think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like I said earlier, like hockey movies, basketball movies, and baseball movies, like there are so many in the 90s. There were so many baseball movies oriented around kids.
Yeah.
You had like Angels in the Outfield. You had The Sandlot. Rookie of the Year, and so like the decade just didn't have a lot of football movies. And then I guess at the turn of the millennium, right, you started getting like I said, Varsity Blues just made the cut.
Yeah.
But then like Remember the Titans, There's
Yeah.
also a good one, sort of in 2005. It was called Friday Night Lights, which which I enjoyed, and they ended up making a TV series based off.
Yeah, I remember that. I just wanted to say too, even though this is going to be mostly a retro based, I mean, we can dip our toes into the 2000s and maybe even the 2010s a little bit too. It's not just strictly 80s, 90s. I mean, we can go a little bit further. I mean, the 2000s is over 20 years old now, so
yeah, it's hard to think that it's we're like 24 and under years since the 2000 decade. I mean, time flies, but we'll I mean, if you're cool, I think we can agree on the 4. We'll eliminate, we'll come up with the 2 that I chose, or we both chose, and then we'll add Any Given Sunday to the mountain, and we'll add Varsity Blues. I think that's a great sort of encompasses a lot, because like I said, Rudy is like your feel good, like underdog story. You've got Any Given Sunday, which depicts the dark side of football. You've got Varsity Blues, which kind of goes into the teenage drama and relationships that surround a small town high school. And then The Water Boy, which is, like I said, just a dumb comedy. Sit there, flip the channel, watch it. I feel like that's a good list.
I think it is too. Yeah.
We encourage the listeners to let us know what your picks would be. Again, we kept ours into the 80s and the 90s, but our Rushmores shows are going to be, we don't always have to go there. But for this list, what were your favorite 80s and 90s movies? And tell us on Instagram, tell us on Twitter, X, and then our email as well, which you'll find that at the end of the show.
Yeah. Good topic. I always love talking football.
For sure.
5 feet nothing. 100 and nothing.
I've been ready for this my whole life.
All you care about is your next district title.
I get what I want, and you get what you want.
Because we know when we add up all those inches, that's gonna make the fucking difference between winning and losing. I'll tell you this, in any fight, it's the guy who's willing to die who's gonna win that inch.
Now that's what I call high-quality H2O.
Oh! Stop making fun of me.
Okay, we're going to take a quick ad break. We'll be right back.
And Ken, it creeps up on us each year. One minute, we're sipping some lemonade in the sun. The next minute, pumpkin spice fills the air and orange leaves sneak onto the trees. Yep, that means Halloween is just around the corner. You need to brainstorm some brand new Halloween decoration ideas to get the home ready for the season. Sure, it could be tons of fun, but if you're trying to round up some decorations in a time crunch, it can get a little bit stressful. But don't worry, HalloweenCostumes.com has a crafted selection of the best Halloween decorations on the web, so you'll be able to find everything you need right in one place. You can fill your home with life-size inflatables, fog machines, Halloween decorations, jack-o'-lantern style pumpkins, lighting, sculptures, wall hangers, and more to turn it into the ultimate Halloween hangout. And if you click on the link in our show notes or go to geekstermedia.com, you can save 20% off any one item. Yes, 20%. Now is the time to start turning your place into a haunting Halloween hangout with HalloweenCostumes.com. Okay, we're back. Now let's move on to the next segment of the show, Ken's Toy Retrospective.
All right, Chad. So that was a good main topic with dealing with football. So now we'll get into my toy spotlight segment where I pick 3 toys or action figures from last episode, like I said, that are currently hitting the market or up for sale online for pre-order. So this week, my number one pick, just like last episode, is from the Batman universe. But this time we have from McFarlane, we have the Batwing from Batman, the animated series from the 90s. So I'll just go over a few bullet points about this vehicle here. So it's incredibly detailed 6-inch scale vehicle based on the legendary television show Batman, the animated series. It features a retractable landing gear, light up interior lights, light up exhaust, and opening cockpit access. It can seat 2 6-inch Batman the Animated Series action figures. And it is also, I had to reread this the first time I saw it, it is 37 inches long.
Yeah.
It's a pretty darn big vehicle there. So
yeah.
And I kind of like that they seem to be doing more inclusion with like things lighting up and sounds and stuff like that. Now I've been noticing. So
we all know you're a sucker for the glow in the dark. So
glow in the dark and
lights, the lights, the natural.
That too, yeah. It was available for pre-order on Target. I don't know if it still is or not. I know it was going for roughly $150, so pretty expensive, but I'm deciding whether I want to pull the trigger on that one yet or not, because I have a bunch of the figures, so it would go along nicely, but
sure, absolutely.
I'm not sure.
Were you a big fan of the animated series back in the day?
Not initially. I was around 18 when it came out, so I wasn't watching cartoons then, but I've seen it since, and then now it's on HBO Max, so I kind of try to watch an episode here or there whenever I get some time. Yeah. So really good show, though, for a cartoon. All right. And then at my number 2, I have from Hasbro Pulse, from their Transformers Studio series, from Transformers the movie. We have the Commander class Optimus Prime. This figure is probably about the best Optimus Prime figure, in my opinion, that's come out. There's been a lot of them.
Mm-hmm.
But, this is from the movie. So, robot mode, vehicle mode. You get a bunch of accessories, blast effect, all kinds of things. The figure comes with a roller, which was a little but a little kind of robot vehicle that he had inside the tractor trailer.
Yeah.
All these figures come with a backdrop, like a little diorama that you can put in the background and, pose your figures and things like that.
That's probably pretty important these days with social media and really staging your figures.
Oh, yeah.
Say.
Yeah, lots of people I see online, lots of people like to do that and photos and all kinds of things. But yeah, this is going for $89.99. It is sold out on the Hasbro Pulse website. I have started seeing some YouTubers reviewing it, and it looks really good.
Yeah, that's if you're a fan of the Transformers, this one's definitely up there, I think.
And as of this recording, today's the 18th. Yesterday was the anniversary of the first airing of the Transformers cartoon.
Yeah.
September 17th, 1984. So I just kind of wanted to give that a little shout out, which I think we'll be talking Transformers a lot on this podcast. It's my favorite cartoon. It was my favorite toy franchise. It still is today. I have buckets and buckets of figures that I've, purchased over the last few years.
Yeah, I haven't never officially asked you, but I kind of, if I had to guess, I was going to guess Transformers for me, like your Transformers would be like my Ninja Turtles, and that just shows you the difference in our age when we grew up, right? Because the Turtles were really a late 80s, and then they didn't really take off until the 90s, whereas Transformers was early 80s and into the mid 80s and stuff. So
yeah. All right. So, and then my number 3 is from Mattel. It's the Masters of the Universe Origins Cartoon Collection, Prince Adam and Cringer 2-pack. A couple years ago, they started doing a Masters of the Universe Origins line. where they kind of were just redoing the figures in their original 80s look, but with more articulation and accessories and things like that.
Yeah.
But then they started doing this new line that they call the Cartoon Collection, which they make the figures that basically look like, they jumped right off the TV screen.
Yeah.
In this pack, you have Prince Adam and Cringer, which, of course, turn into He-Man and Battle Cat. The Prince Adam figure is 5.5 inches tall, which I think the original Masters of the Universe figures were also that height. And yeah, it just looks really good. Bunch of different posability. I did purchase this one from Big Bad Toy Store. I got it a couple weeks ago in the mail. It looks really good. The packaging is really nice and colorful. So yeah, I try to keep my picks, my top 3. You'll probably notice new stuff, but it's basically all of it is going to be from, retro toy lines from the 80s or 90s. So yeah, there's my top 3 toy picks for the show.
Now, let's switch gears and get into Chad's pop culture moment.
Well, Ken, those were some awesome toy picks, and I look forward to seeing your picks each and every episode of the Retro Resurgence Podcast. Now, as you're listening to this will be released on September 27th. Ken, you remember anything of 1998 in September? What was going on?
The only thing that I can remember is I was dating my wife. We had been together for about 6 months at the time, and that's pretty much it for 1998. Remember anything that happened in sports?
Well, if we can take a time travel back to 1998,
let's do it.
The sport that was just all over the news was baseball, and primarily because of the home run chase of that season. So let me remind the folks, maybe you remember this, or maybe, heck, you weren't even born or just being born around the time, but September 27th was the last day of the baseball season back in 1998, and Mark McGuire, who played for the St. Louis Cardinals, he hit his 69th and his 70th home run. Now, why is that significant? Is because before 1998, the home run record for the season was set by Roger Maris, and that was in 1961, and he was the record setter for, what was that, about 35 years or so? And then the summer of, or the baseball season of 1998 comes upon us, and 3 people, but then it ended up being a 2-man race, but 3 players of that season. You had Mark McGuire, who ended up with 70 home runs that year. Right. Sammy Sosa, who was chasing him the whole season, ended up with 66. And then early in the season, many fans may not remember, but there was actually a third person. He played for the Arizona Diamondbacks, Luis Gonzalez. It was a 3-man race, and I think sort of near the halfway point of the season, he kind of started he slumped in, and so he ended up with 57 that year. But if you were watching ESPN, if you were watching any sort of news outlet, the baseball was so hot. They were on fire, and it was because of McGuire and Sosa. McGuire was somebody who started off with the Oakland A's, right? Played with Jose Canseco, the Bash brothers, but then he sort of had a rebirth in St. Louis. And now, if you remember, in 1994, baseball was at a pretty low point. They had a strike. They ended up canceling the World Series that year. So, they're coming back 95, 96, and things are just, they're just getting out of the strike season, and attendance is down. And all of a sudden, in the 1998 season, McGuire and Sosa just go on their home run chase, and they're just absolutely belting these homers. So much so that, it became national news. ESPN would often cut in to, as they were getting closer to the 61, if you remember this, were getting closer to 61. They would cut in to whatever they had going on that night on ESPN. They would cut in to when Sosa was at bat or when McGuire was at bat.
Right.
And they were waiting for those home runs, and they got them. And I'll tell you, Sosa and McGuire, the chase between the two, it became such popular news that everywhere in the media you would see them. I remember Sports Illustrated had them on the cover. They were chasing this historic record. I also remember, this tells you a peek into the 1990s advertising. You remember the Got Milk campaign?
Oh, definitely,
In all the magazines, you had the Got Milk campaign for McGuire and Sosa.
Right.
I just remember that being reading those in magazines and stuff. But it certainly revived the interest in baseball. Like I said, 94 was a tough season with the World Series being canceled. But the last day of the season, that 26 years, the anniversary of McGuire hitting number 70. And just to wrap it up, the Cardinals, they made the playoffs that year. They got eliminated in the divisional series. But the Cubs, they ended up not qualifying for the playoffs at all.
Right.
But really, all the attention was on that home run record.
Yeah.
And then, of course, years later, not too many years later, but then Barry Bonds, in 2001 would end up breaking McGuire's record of 70, and he ended up with 73.
Okay.
And not long after that is when all this talk about baseball, steroids, performance enhancing drugs came about, and then you started putting these records and questioning the integrity of these records being broken, and I think baseball's done a good job since cleaning up the sport. A lot of folks don't see McGuire and Sosa as true, record holders. And Bonds, we might as well throw him in there too. He would do it a few years after. But it was just the homers that were just being belted out of the park. I mean, it was just bringing droves of fans and new eyes to the product. But, back in 2005, after sort of public pressure to sort of figure out if baseball was these guys were clean, both McGuire and Sosa, McGuire officially told people eventually that he was steroids and he was juiced. And, it was kind of when he was asked to come talk about this on Capitol Hill, and he famously said, he was there not to talk about the past, which, made a lot of people, kind of put them off a little bit. And then Sammy Sosa, even more infamously, gets up on Capitol Hill and he acts like he can't speak English. So, and he never really officially admitted to doing steroids, but I think the overall thoughts of people is that all these players were juiced. Maybe not Ken Griffey, but
no, I never heard his name in that conversation, but
Bonds certainly, it's the cloud over him. And now, I don't know how big of a fan you are now of baseball. I mean, you've got the Milwaukee Brewers.
Yeah, we got the Brewers. Yeah. I remember the one thing I do remember about all that, a couple years later when they had just built Miller Park in Milwaukee, the new stadium in 2001. I know they had the All-Star game there the following season in 2002, and Sammy Sosa was in the home run derby, and he was, I think, up until now, I think he's the only one who actually hit it out of the stadium, because there's like windows in the back, and I think how he hit it, he actually hit it and it went through one of the windows and actually landed outside of the stadium. But the one thing I do remember though about that 98 season is I don't think I saw the 69th and 70th hit live on TV, but I do remember we were watching when he broke the record of 61 when he hit the 62nd one. I do remember watching that. Yeah.
Yeah, that one, I think when he was at 61, I think it was, you were certainly gonna like cut into every at bat. But yeah, I mean, imagine, and this is 98, right? Predates social media. I mean, imagine a home run chase like that happening now. I mean, it'd be even bigger than it was back in the 90s,
Right.
with
Yeah.
reaction and stuff. I think of now, I'm not too big of a baseball fan these days, but I think, certainly the clout that followed baseball back then isn't really there anymore. So like these guys that are belting them now, like Aaron Judge, the Yankees, and others, it seems to be maybe that the integrity, if they were to ever get close to Bonds' 73, it'd be a little bit more, held in higher regard, because these guys seem to be clean and not juiced.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, awesome.
All right, good topic. I liked it.
And now, a special segment we like to call the Retro Resurgence Resume, or Triple R.
All right, everybody, we're back. This next segment we want to do is going to be a segment that we're going to do exclusively for guests that we have on the show. But since we're still a new podcast, me and Chad decided that we wanted to do this for each other for this week and next episode. It's a little segment that I call the Retro Resurgence Resume, or as we like to call it, the Triple R. So what it basically is a series of 4 questions about retro things that we like, dislike, and then a favorite character and a least favorite character from back in the day, 80s, 90s, maybe even 70s or early 2000s. So this week, Chad is going to ask me the 4 questions, and then, like I said, on the next episode, I'll ask him the 4 questions. So if you're ready, Chad, we can kick it off here and see how it goes.
All right. Ken Spalding, Triple R. Question 1. What real-life retro event makes you happy?
There was a lot of them that I could think of, but there's one that sticks out in my memory from May of 1983. It was on a show called Motown 25, Yesterday, Today, Forever. It was when Michael Jackson moonwalked on live television for the first time, performing Billie Jean. I don't know if you've ever seen the clip or have watched it on YouTube.
Yeah. Were you, is this something you partook live, or do you remember watching it later?
Yeah, I remember sitting in my living room watching it live on TV, and right before he had done that part of the show, he was on stage with his brothers, the Jackson 5, and they were singing some of their older songs. And then they all left the stage, and then Michael was on stage by himself. He started performing Billie Jean, and then about halfway through the song, he did the moonwalk across the stage, and that's something that always just has stuck in my mind ever since, I was a little kid.
Were you with your brother or your mom and dad watching it? Do you remember their reaction?
I remember my mom being out in the living room. I don't recall my brother being there watching it, but yeah, I definitely remember watching it live on TV.
Cool.
So
yeah, man, I guess it's like one of those "where were you" moments when everybody. Yeah,
pretty much. Yeah.
And of course, back then you would have only saw it that way and that way only, right? Now,
yeah, that would have been it.
Get it like a numerous way, numerous amount of ways. So
right.
All right. Well, Triple R question number 2, in a similar vein, what real life retro event makes you sad?
All right. Well, this one came to me pretty quick. It was January 28th, 1986, when the Space Shuttle Challenger exploded, killing all 7 crew members. One of them was a school teacher. I remember definitely remember this being in school with the TV on in front of the whole classroom and just, complete silence, like nobody knew what happened.
Yeah.
What. And then, of course, with it being a teacher, I can remember, the teacher that we had for the class that we were watching it with, she started, crying. I mean, right there in front of the class. But I mean, what can you really do?
Right. Yeah, I know one of the folks who died was a South Carolina born astronaut named Ronald McNair.
Yeah.
I remember living in South Carolina all my life. He's kind of one of those figures in like national history that we kind of hold in high regard as one of the victims. Yeah, I mean, I can imagine and of course kids, as as time goes on, like I wasn't in school during that time, but I have another one that maybe I'll save for next week. But
okay,
sure, kids will put things like 9/11 and other things where those kind of where like things change, right? You're just whether the world changes or it's just something that was such a great thing and then it turns out to be a tragedy. I mean, numerous things in our lifetime. So that was a good one. So number 3, who or what is your favorite fictional retro character?
This one could have been any number of answers, but the one person that I could really think of that really resonated with me all through childhood and kind of even growing up a little bit was Mr. Miyagi from the Karate Kid. So, 1984, the first Karate Kid movie came out. Daniel LaRusso moving from New Jersey to California, and then him meeting, Mr. Miyagi, the caretaker of the apartment building, and just from there teaching him life lessons, helping him out throughout the trilogy 1, 2, and 3. Just somebody, is kind of like that friend or like, almost kind of like a grandfather type figure that, I always just somebody who always, I liked watching, and I've seen those movies, dozens of times. So yeah, I always liked the character. The actual actor, Pat Morita, he was also in Happy Days, which I didn't know that until later on in life. I did watch Happy Days. I don't think when I started watching it, he was on the show anymore. And then I had a chance in my early adulthood. I was in the military. I was in the Navy, and I was stationed at Pearl Harbor, Hawaii. The main store, it's like a department store, kind of like your, Walmarts or things like that. They call it the Navy Exchange. He was there signing autographs. I just kind of like, saw him, oh, pretty cool. But I was with some buddies and they wanted to keep, moving on. So I didn't get in line to get his autograph. But now looking back at it, I wish I had done it.
Certainly, the Karate Kid was probably what he's most known for. Right. Probably had other smaller roles and stuff like that. But if you're talking about, one of the wisest teachers that's been portrayed in Hollywood, right? Right. Mr. Miyagi's top of the list. It's got to be,
Yeah, definitely.
Teaching Daniel about life more so than.
Yeah, more so than just karate. Yeah.
Yeah. Wax on, wax off.
Yep.
Paint the fence.
Paint the fence.
Well, our last question, Triple R, Ken, is who or what is your least favorite fictional retro character?
All right, now we're going to go way back to when I was around 4 years old. So you might not know this character. It was on the show Sesame Street.
Okay.
So I love Muppets. I love the Muppet movies and all that stuff. But when this character would come on TV, I remember doing it, and my mom will also back me up. As soon as this character came on TV and the segment was starting, I would jump up, run to the TV, shut it off, and run to my room because I was scared of this person. His name was Don Music. He was a Muppet on Sesame Street. He debuted in 1974. So basically, I'll give a little background. It says Don Music is an agonized composer who made recurring appearances on Sesame Street starting in season 6, 1974. Don would most always express his bouts of songwriter's block by banging his head on the piano keys in frustration, wailing, "Oh, I'll never get it, never." That was the part that always scared me, is when he would go crazy and bang his head on the piano. I'm going to leave in the show notes. There's a clip on YouTube that has 6 videos of him singing his different songs, and he can't get the words right, and he's just, getting frustrated and going crazy and banging his head on the piano. So that was always a scary part of Sesame Street for me when he would come on the TV.
So it was more of a frightened feeling.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess in Sesame Street probably didn't intend for that to happen. I wonder how many other people.
No, yeah, who knows? I mean, I was 4 years old at the time when I remember first seeing it, and it was crazy.
Well, I have no recollection of this character. Obviously, it predates me being born, but I'm gonna have to look at that clip you're talking about.
Yeah, check it out, and then you can tell me what you think about it. Put yourself as a 4-year-old, and how would you react?
I'll have to let my 2-year-old daughter watch it, and we watch a lot of things, but we've gotten into Sesame Street a couple of times, but I'll have to put that on and just see what she says. Yeah,
see her reaction.
Yeah.
But yeah, those are my answers. I mean, they're not my first and only answers, but trying to come up with on the spot kind of a little bit, those are what I picked. So
well, it was a great segment, and we'll do I'll answer the questions next week, and as we progress with the show and have special guests, we intend to give them, it's a great way to kind of, as a jumping off point, to find out where somebody's nostalgia may begin, and
exactly.
Where they remember the most. So great job, Ken.
All right, thanks.
And now let's round out the show with our In Memoriam segment.
All right, Chad. So that's going to take us to our final segment of the episode, our In Memoriam segment. Last episode we did Psycho Sid, the professional wrestler. So as of the date of this recording, we lost a great actor, a great icon of movies, theater from the 80s and 90s, even earlier than that. James Earl Jones, born January 17th, 1931, passed away just 9 days ago here, September 9th, 2024. He was born in Mississippi, died in New York. Just a great all-around actor, voice actor. You heard him throughout your childhood, even if you didn't actually know who he was at the time, but you would recognize that voice.
If your parents watched CNN, you certainly heard CNN.
That. Yeah, other voices. Of course, I think probably most famous, Darth Vader.
Yeah.
Mufasa from The Lion King.
Mm-hmm.
And then he was also in other movies, Conan the Barbarian, 1982, Coming to America, 1988, Field of Dreams, 1989, The Hunt for Red October, 1990. And then he was even in The Sandlot, 1993.
Yeah, that was sort of my favorite movie that he was in. I'm not big on the Star Wars, but The Sandlot's one of my top movies of the decade, and it was a good role for him.
He received 8 Primetime Emmy Awards nominations. I mean, he was in pretty much, from the 60s on. Yeah. He would voiced a whole bunch of things. Like I said, he was, even did, theater work too. So
yeah, a long career and very well rounded, I would say, and very respected. It seemed
respected.
Yeah, he died. I think he was, 93?
93.
Yeah, I think just the outpouring of respect from other actors, other people in showbiz. I mean, there's a pioneer,
Yeah. He also
especially for black actors. I mean, you think about how probably when he was starting off, I mean, that the discrimination that he probably faced, and he's overcome it and became one of this generation's finest actors.
Yeah. He was also in the military, I believe. He was commissioned in mid-1953 after the Korean War, so he was also a military guy too. And then one thing I did learn today, I listened to a Star Wars podcast. It's called Rebel Force Radio. It's probably, to me, it's the best Star Wars podcast out there. And I learned, listening to that they said that he did sell the rights of his voice to Disney. Whatever, if any more Star Wars that have Darth Vader in it, probably they'll be able to use his voice. So his voice will live on, even after he's gone. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
So rest in peace, James Earl Jones. Thanks for making, my childhood pretty cool with your, voice acting and all the characters that you played in a lot of movies that I loved. So thank you.
Thank you.
You don't know the power of the dark side.
We are all connected in the great circle of life.
This is CNN.
Well, Ken, this has been a fun show, episode number 2. We've dived into our love of video games, and now we're hitting sports, and we will have various shows, various mini topics. I've looked at our topic tank, then we up to almost 93, 94 things that just off the top of our head during our daily lives is just something comes to mind. We add it to the sheet, and we hope that we'll get to all of them sooner or later.
Yeah, sooner or later, I think we'll, as the, months and hopefully do this for quite a while. We, have a lot of topics, and doesn't look like we're going to be short of any ideas for quite a while still. So this was a fun one. I love talking football, and another good show.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah, and we came to a pretty good agreement on our top Mount Rushmore of football movies. Like we said, chime in with your picks. What did we get right? What did we get wrong?
Yeah, let us know.
Yeah, should Little Giants have been on the Rushmore? Maybe we made a mistake, but let us know on the social media outlets, and we'll see you again in 2 weeks.
Thank you for listening to the Retro Resurgence Podcast. You can find us on most major podcast platforms, including Spotify, Amazon Music, and Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to podcasts. You can also find us on social media. You can follow us on Instagram at The Retro Resurgence. You can also find us on X at Retro Resurgence, or you can email us at theretroresurgence@gmail.com. And lastly, you can find us online at our home base, www.theretronetwork.com, where you'll find lots of great people and content there. Please engage with us on social media or leave us feedback at our email. Leave a rate and review wherever you listen to podcasts. Join us again in 2 weeks here on the Retro Resurgence Podcast.
And that wraps up another episode of the Retro Resurgence Podcast. We're so grateful you joined us today and took a trip down memory lane with us, and we can't wait to bring you more retro goodness in our next episode. Until then, keep embracing the past, and we'll see you soon. Thanks for listening.
This has been a presentation of Geekster Media.